So here we at the final steps of this fire alarm installation. Take a look at these prints. We got a couple floors that we got to put these devices on. Some sounder bases. Really, it's just some sounder bases because we have the horn strobes up on the first floor. Second floor, we got the panel mounted. Got a couple sounder bases up. We got the pull stations up. So we got a couple more devices that we got to install. So here's a T3, T4 module. If you don't know what this module is, this is to activate the sounder bases in tempo 3 or tempo 4. So you have 8 terminals down here on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That is where your data go. And on top, 5 through 8, you got your 24 volts that come in and then going out will go to the sounder bases. They hook up to the sounder bases. This is where a sounder base is if you don't know what a sounder base is. So you have the data that goes in and out, 24 volts is going to come off that TCDR, and you're going to go inside the program. Temporal 3, you're going to set for the smoke detectors, and temporal 4, you're going to set for the CO detectors. But you'll see how we do that when we get there. So what we have to do is, I got to put this box in. I think I would just put it on the outside, and I will mount this, wire it up, and then we got to change out some bases and put some sound bases in. So let's go. Here's the fire alarm riser diagram. This is a one-line diagram just detailing out all the devices that's installed, where they're installed at, how it's installed, and things like that. Plus, we also have receivers operation, stamp of approval, your equipment list. This right here is your sequence of operation, and this is like fire alarm general note. So this would be, I need an 11 by 17 frame, so we can hang it right here. And then I have another 8.5 by 11 frame that we're going to mount right there for the operator instruction. This pretty much is a general outline of how to operate the fire alarm panel. So this would have to be mounted in an 8.5 by 11 frame next to the fire alarm control panel. Riser diagram stamped by either the electrician, fire alarm company, or the engineer. This will go on 11 by 17 frame, also next to the fire alarm. I should just put this modular. You want to put your bushings on. Make sure you got your bushings, both sides. We're going to hook this module up, the temporal 3, temporal 4, the TCDR. We're going to put it in here. We're going to reroute the data, 24 volts, wire it up. So now, if you're never sure how to wire up a module, always look at the manual that comes inside the pack. So we see 1, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 4 and 3 is our in on our data. 2 and 1 is our out to our data. So we're gonna use this as our out. So this data here is gonna be our out. This wire is actually running to all the devices, the pull station, the smokes like that. So this is gonna be our out. And our in is going to come from the actual panel. That's going to be the one that goes in. So we're going to hook up the red and black onto 1 and 2, and then we're going to hook up the green and white onto 5 and 6. And the even numbers are always plus or the even numbers are always red or plus. And we got this here. So as you looking at this module, it will be the data coming in. We have the data coming in, and then the data going out to the field. We have the 24 volts coming in, and then we're going to control the 24 volts of how we're going to make it sound, rather if it be a smoke or a CO through these wires here and also through programming. Now, when I'm out in the field installing devices, I usually have probably larger prints, 24 by 36. However, I'll take the serial number in which I install this device, and I will try to put that serial number in that exact location. So if it's a smoke detector, I'll put that serial number for that smoke detector. So when I hand this over to the programmer, which would be me, I'll know exactly what serial number is in what place and what location on the prints. Since I don't have enough room, because the fire alarm panel is like right here, and I gotta put the smoke and then the pole station and everything like that, so I don't want it crowded right here. So I'm gonna just put this module, I'm gonna just label it off to the side, put a label on it. So this right here is a Starlink IP cell communicator. We're gonna install this communicator right here. This is what's gonna send out the signals to the central station via IP, via cell, and also it provides 2 phone lines that go up inside the DAC. So let's install this bad boy. Inside you got your 2 antennas and you have your metal enclosure. They also have a plastic enclosure and they have a metal enclosure. I like the metal enclosure only because it matches with the fire alarms, metal to metal, and you can run pipe to it. So, and it looks better on the installation. So we use the metal boxes. Inside of the communicator. Inside of the fire alarm control panel. Now I'm going to use this Cat5 connector for both phone lines, phone line 1 and phone line 2. If you only care about telephone, inside here are blue, white, white, blue, same as the orange, same as the brown, same as the green. So there's 4 different phone numbers you could put on each one of these phone lines. But I'm going to show you how you can use just one dial tone on 8-pin connector. You just have to find the 2 pins in the middle. That'll usually be dial tone number 1, and then the 2 pins on the outside will be dial tone number 2, 3, and 4, so on. So for line 1, it's going to be blue, and for line 2, we're going to use orange. We're going to punch it down on this side, punch it down on this side, and then plug them in line 1 and 2. So we just separate them a little bit, and the white side is the tip or your negative, and the solid side is your plus or the ring. So it's tip and ring when it comes to telephone. So for line 1, you always want to make sure the nipple is face down. And then we want to just try to make sure we can get this right dead center. And with the easy crimp connectors, you'll know if you're in the center because it'll go straight through the top of the connector. And they have to be absolutely straight. So we got the center, pull it out a little bit. That's a big pause, but you do that, and then we're gonna crimp that down at that location. So now we got line 1 done, and then we just repeat the process for line 2. We got it smack in the middle. Yep. So all we do now is clamp it down. And if you already had pre-made jumpers that come with the fire alarm panel, you could use that too. So the primary and secondary is right here. This is the program, but we program this over the network. So these are your primary phone lines here. And if you connect this with fire alarm, you need to add a module here. So if there's loose power, if there's any trouble inside this box, this relay will active that you can connect to an input and just name it data, IP data loss or something, so you can monitor this particular communicator. That's a rule of thumb in New York City if you don't know that.
All right, so now that we finished the install, let's take a quick look at the program. All right, so we're going to open it up. So this is what the Kitty VS1 fire alarm program will look like. When you first start off, you'll have a couple tabs up top. Your project tab is how you can start a new project, open up a new project, save and things like that. Your configure tab is how you can add a region if you have multiple regions with sites and panels and things like that. You can add a site and you can add your 2 different panels. So you'll have your management, you have your user management, your project management, your communication, how you connect to the actual panel, how you can read and write from the panel, upload and download. Your reports, where you can pull out the type of panel reports and then the system reports. This is good for getting like the dialer reports, so you can either send it to the central station so they can add all the zones, or you can just do it yourself. Tools, we have the diagnostic tools. This is similar to the ST3. Watch the system do its mapping and things like that, then you can validate the project. So inside here, really quickly on the contact side, this is where you, the programmer, will put you and your company's information in that information box right there. The banner on the next tab, this is where you will get this information here. So you will get, 1, 2, 3, maiden lane, system normal, or whatever you want to put right here on the banner. So you have about 40 characters for these 1 and 2 lines. On your NACs, we have 2 NAC circuits. This is a VS1. The VS4 will have 4 NAC circuits. Here, our NAC circuits is set up to Genesis silenceable. There's many other different point types, but we use the silenceable one. So when you hit signal silence, the strobes will actually keep flashing, so they won't turn off. Zones, you could group devices into particular zones and do different things. Correlations, you could also group up zone list for the central station. So next we have the correlations. So here we have a couple correlations. So we have general alarm. This is all of our input devices. So any input devices that's going to activate an alarm, let's say like this module is a pull station, like it says here, pull station. What we would do is just throw it over here. So that way it can be in this list, this active list of inputs to activate the output. So since we only have 2 NAC circuits with horns and strobes connected to it, we're only going to activate 2 NAC circuits. So every input device that's going to activate the horns and strobes will go into that general alarm list. So now also here go to CO activation. I'll show you this when we get to the device menu, how you actually set this up so you can get it here. So on the CO side, we're using the T3, T4 that you've seen earlier in the video. That's going to differentiate how smoke will sound and how COs will sound. And inside the programming, this is how you do it. So all of your combination devices on the smoke side, you will put them all in that list, and then you will only activate the T3, T4 smoke side, more or less the smoke output activation, which is the T3 side. Then if you're going to do the CO side, you just add all of the COs side of the combo devices, and then you activate the 4 part, the CO activation part. So that's pretty much how you would set that up within the correlations. And those are only the 3 correlations that we have in here. So let's close this out. Then we go over to the user keys. We have 2 user keys. The first key is doing nothing. The second key is doing a disable. Now, in order for this to happen, you need to make your point types latch. They either have to be a NAC circuit, or if the input device you're trying to control has to be latched. So that way, when the system goes into alarm, it will stay latched after you reset the system. And then you have to perform another function, which is step 2, and put the password in to actually activate those devices. So you could either do a disable or you could do a fan restart in this menu here. Being that they don't have no fans, so we're not doing any fan restart. So over in the communications tab, this is how you will tell it what COM port that you're selected to. If you're selected to whatever COM port, the baud rate is always 11.5200. You want to keep that as normal. Data bits is 8. Parity is always none. Stop bits 1 and refresh rate is 3. So all this will stay normal or default. The only thing you would change is your COM port in whichever COM port you're plugged into using USB. From there, you will connect, where you first have to log in level 2 on the panel. You also have to select the printer, make sure the printer is off, that you're not using the printer, and then you also have to select that feature inside the menu on the fire alarm control panel, because they're using the same port. So once you do that and establish a connection, you hit connect, and then you want to read from panel if you don't have the software. So if you're just uploading the panel and you want to grab all the information from the panel because you don't have it, you can read from panel. But if you do have a database and you're building a database, all you would have to do is write to panel. But before you do that, you want to upload your devices. So let's get there first. We have the modem, then we have the COM ports, TCP/IP. This is where you will configure your network. If you're using a TCP/IP card, you put your IP address here, the port that you're using, and the refresh rate. It's really simple to set up. It's really not that difficult. The events usually don't mess with this here. This is all of the default events that's going to be happening in the background. Now you can add a printer to the VS panel. So this is how you will configure the printer through the RS-232 port. If you have any enunciators, you can have up to 8 enunciators. All you really got to do is just check it off and then put the address of that enunciator. So now when we get to devices, you can enable mapping. You have class A, class B. Then you have your mapping. So let's say the electrician was installing all of the devices. You don't have program yet. You didn't do anything yet. So the first thing you would really do is, once you power up the panel and all of your devices are talking, all you got to do is just retrieve the data. Once you retrieve the data, everything here will be blue, and then you just have to manually add them into the system. So you select the actual, so that way it can create the point type. The difference between actual and expected, right? So expected means that the laptop says, I have this particular point type. Actually, what's physically installed is a different point type. So you would just have to match the field to the computer. So one is referencing what the computer has, and one is referencing what is out in the field from the last time it was downloaded. And the yellow just means it's a message warning. Doesn't really mean anything. It just means that either a point type change or a message label had changed. It's not a real big thing like a device address or a serial number. That's a major change. This would be a warning. That would be like an error more than a warning. So when we go over to device configuration, and you see we have the smoke COs right here. So all the way to the right, in this right side here, you will want to select at the bottom. There's a couple selections. If you're using a sounder base, an isolator base, relay base, or even a standard base, you have to select that. So if you're using a sounder base, you select sounder, and you want to follow the alarm. You can follow the head, the alarm verify, pre-alarm riser, or none. But I usually just follow the alarm, because this box will not be available until you select that you want this to be an alarm or something else. Then this box will become available. Do you want us to follow the CO? Yes. So once you have these 3 items selected, go back over to your correlations. You'll be able to add these devices over on the input side, so that way you can manipulate the CO and also the smoke side. So that's pretty much how this thing is actually programmed. It's straightforward general alarm. Anytime something goes off, sound the alarm. If a CO go off, sound that particular alarm. If the smoke go off, sound that alarm, plus additional things. There's no fan shutdown. There's no stair pressurization. This was just a very, very small system, and that's pretty much it. So in the Skool community, we have NICET levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. There will be over 130 videos for each level of NICET, tools, cheat sheet, code references, any and everything you need to help you pass the NICET exam the first time you're going to take. Is going to give you that confidence. So we're building it all out. Link is in the description. Join me in the Skool community. We'll also be going live there, doing some fire alarm troubleshooting programming specifically for the Edwards. And also now, since we're a Gainwell dealer, we're going to be doing some Gainwell systems as well. But for the most part, it's going to be Edwards with this panel behind me on the wall, doing as much programming as we can to get you guys straightened out there in the field. All right. So I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.